Ever sent a text message and got annoyed because it took a whole 10 seconds to deliver? What if I told you that less than 200 years ago, sending a message across the country could take weeks, or even months? Imagine writing a letter, handing it to a rider on horseback, and then just waiting. That was the reality. But one man's personal tragedy and relentless drive changed everything, shrinking the world in a way no one thought possible. This is the story of Samuel Morse and the invention that laid the groundwork for our instant, hyperconnected world, the telegraph. Now, you might know Samuel Morse as an inventor, but believe it or not, he started his career as a painter, a very successful one, in fact. He studied art in Europe and painted portraits of some of the most famous people of his time, including presidents. But in 1825, while he was away from home working on a commission, something happened that would alter the course of his life forever. He received a letter by a horse messenger telling him his wife was ill. He immediately rushed home, but by the time he arrived, she had already passed away and been buried. He was devastated. The slow pace of communication had robbed him of the chance to say goodbye. This heartbreaking experience planted a seed in his mind. There had to be a faster way to send information. Years later, in 1832, Morse was on a ship sailing back to America from Europe. During the voyage, he overheard a conversation about the newly discovered electromagnet. A fellow passenger mentioned that electricity could travel instantly along a wire. A light bulb went off in Morse's head. If electricity could travel instantly, couldn't it be used to carry messages? The idea consumed him. For the next several years, Morse poured all his energy and money into this new obsession. He wasn't a scientist by training, so he had to learn everything from scratch. He experimented in a small workshop, trying to build a device that could send and receive electrical signals. His first prototypes were clumsy and barely worked. He nearly went bankrupt and faced constant ridicule from people who thought his idea was a fantasy. But Morse was not alone. He partnered with two brilliant minds. Leonard Gale, a science professor who helped him improve the power of his electrical signal, and Alfred Vail, a skilled machinist who made crucial improvements to the design of the telegraph receiver. Vail is also credited with helping refine the most iconic part of the invention, the code. This wasn't just about sending an electrical pulse. You needed a language for that pulse. And so, Morse code was born. A system of dots and dashes representing letters and numbers. A short tap on the key was a dot. A long one was a dash. For example, the most famous signum, SOS, is 3 dots, 3 dashes, and 3 dots. This simple, elegant system was a stroke of genius, allowing complex messages to be sent and understood with just 2 basic signals. After years of struggle, in 1837, Morse and his team were finally ready for a public demonstration. In a room filled with skeptics, they successfully sent a message over a short stretch of wire. It worked. But proving the concept was one thing. Getting the funding to build a real, long-distance line was another. Morse spent years lobbying the U.S. Congress for support. Finally, in 1843, he secured the funding to build an experimental telegraph line stretching 40 miles from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore. The construction was a massive undertaking, but on May 24, 1844, the moment of truth arrived. From the Supreme Court chamber in Washington, Morse tapped out the first official message. It was a quote from the Bible, "What hath God wrought?" In Baltimore, Alfred Vail received the message instantly and sent it back, confirming the success. For the first time in human history, a complex message had traveled faster than any horse, train, or ship. It was practically instantaneous. The world was forever changed. Telegraph lines began to crisscross the United States, and then the globe. News that once took months to travel now arrived in minutes. Businesses could coordinate across vast distances. Governments could communicate with unheard-of speed, and families could stay connected. It was the birth of telecommunications. The telegraph was the internet of its day, a revolutionary technology that brought people closer together and paved the way for the telephone, radio, and eventually, the digital world we live in today. So, the next time you fire off a quick text or an email, take a moment to remember Samuel Morse, the artist whose personal tragedy fueled a relentless quest to conquer distance and time. His invention of the telegraph didn't just send dots and dashes down a wire. It connected humanity in a way that had only ever been dreamed of. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more dives into the history of innovation. See you in the next video.